This is the kind of morning that we like to see in October, but not the morning Donald Trump likes to see. Take a look at this. A new New York Times poll is out that has Vice President Kamala Harris up 49 to 46. But when you dig deeper into the polls, some of the data is just even more significant than that. She has a 93-point net advantage with Democratic voters, while Donald Trump just has an 80-point net advantage with Republican voters, an indication that there is an unprecedented number of high-profile Republicans opposing Donald Trump. And we've been talking about that here for years and years. As you dig deeper as well, the only group that Donald Trump leads with is white non-college voters. White college grads are supporting Vice President Kamala Harris by 23. Non-white college has Harris up by 39. Non-white, no college has Vice President Kamala Harris up 31 as well there. Also, on the question of who cares about people the most, Harris has an 8-point advantage there, which is important. If you just take a look at the national polls from July 22nd to October 5th, and not these like weird ones that Republicans push, but like the good polls, you can see obviously here a clear trend that Vice President Kamala Harris is up ahead. And also in the national AB rated polls in the last 7 or 8 days, take a look at this. Vice President Kamala Harris leads that as well. I think it's just important that I show you that, look, polls don't vote, people do, but I'm sure you're getting a lot of disinformation out there. So I just think it's important to set the record straight. So what is Donald Trump doing? Well, he's making posts like this: Russia, Russia, Russia hoax, over and over again. He's posting photographs of Elon Musk like this, and Elon Musk wearing "Make America Great Again" hats. You have Donald Trump making posts like this: deranged Jack Smith is fighting for lion Kamala lost big in Florida. Justice Department is political weapon, never happened in USA before. MAGA 2024. You also have Donald Trump sending out emails to his supporters saying, it's time that you go full dark MAGA. Again, like, what in the world are we talking about? News broke this morning as well from Bob Woodward's new book that's out, that Donald Trump has allegedly been in communication with Vladimir Putin at least 7 times since Donald Trump left office. We also learn from Bob Woodward's book that while Donald Trump was in office and Americans were struggling to get their hands on COVID testing, Donald Trump was sending COVID tests, can't make this stuff up, to Vladimir Putin. Donald Trump sending our COVID tests to Putin while Americans could not get tests, and while Donald Trump was saying for Americans not to be tested. Some other very interesting data we're seeing in Pennsylvania as well, as votes are being cast there. Take a look at the spread. You have Democrats returning 155,931 votes. That's leading Republicans by 43,793 votes. Now, take the other data that I shared with you at the outset of this video, that Donald Trump really only has the support of around 80% of Republicans. So you could take a look at this, and I would say 90 plus, I'd probably say 90, 95%, probably more of all of those Democratic votes are for Vice President Kamala Harris. Then amongst the GOP and independent, I think a significant amount of them may also be for Vice President Kamala Harris as well. Look, as no significant material conclusions can be made yet necessarily based on that, this is leading prior elections as well. New York Times also read the headline about Donald Trump secretly staying in touch with Vladimir Putin now. Also, yesterday, Donald Trump lied and claimed that he went to Gaza despite no evidence, and that he wants to, demolish Gaza and then remake it into Monaco. That's what Donald Trump told Hewitt in an interview. Let me play this for you right now. This is what Donald Trump said. Donald Trump's never been to Gaza, but just lies, says, I've been to Gaza. It's really, really mean and they're really bad, and I'm going to make it into Monaco. Here, play this clip.
President, you're a developer, so I want to talk to you about Gaza. I worked with land use developers for 35 years when I was actively practicing law. You know how to build things. Gaza is in ruins. Could Gaza be Monaco if it was rebuilt the right way? Could someone make Gaza into something that all the Palestinian people would be proud of, would want to live in, would benefit them?
It could be better than Monaco. It has the best location in the Middle East, the best water, the best everything. It is the best. I've said it for years. When I've been there, and it's rough. It's a rough place before all of the attacks and before back and forth, what's happened over the last couple of years. And I said, wow, look at this. I mean, they'd have the back of a plant facing the ocean. They'd have, there was no ocean as far as that was concerned. They never took advantage of it. As a developer, it could be the most beautiful place, the weather, the water, the whole thing, the climate. It could be so beautiful. It could be the best thing in the Middle East, but it could be one of the best places in the world. And, there are other civilizations. I don't know if you know this. It's crazy, but that's been a rough neighborhood. That's been a rough place. Underneath that are two other civilizations where they were wiped out and they started over and they build on top.
As George Conway says, imagine if we learned today that Vice President Kamala Harris was having regular conversations with Vladimir Putin, had sent him a special COVID testing kit, falsely claimed to have visited Gaza, was repeatedly lying about the federal hurricane response, and said that the country had bad genes. Because that's what Donald Trump said on it also. He said that the immigrants commit crimes because of their bad genes. Here's Donald Trump saying that. Let's play the clip.
She wants to go into government housing. She wants to go into government feeding. She wants to feed people. She wants to feed people governmentally. She wants to go into a communist party type system. When you look at the things that she proposes, they're so far off. She has no clue. How about allowing people to come through an open border, 13,000 of which were murderers? Many of them murdered far more than one person, and they're now happily living in the United States. Now a murderer, I believe this, it's in their genes, and we got a lot of bad genes in our country right now. They had 400.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris released what may have been the best political ad I've ever seen. Here, play this clip.
Of 100 Republicans who worked in national security for Presidents Reagan, both Bushes, and for President Trump, now endorsing Harris for president.
She came up as a prosecutor, an attorney general, into the Senate. She has the kind of character that's going to be necessary in the presidency. She has the strength. She has the values to deal with the uncertain crises.
If you care about America's leadership role in the world, a vote for Vice President Harris is the right vote to make.
Generals, secretaries of defense, secretaries of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, CIA directors and National Security Council leaders under Democratic and Republican presidents, Republican members of Congress, former Trump administration officials, and even Vice President Cheney agree. There's only one candidate fit to lead our nation, and that's Kamala Harris.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
And here this morning, Vice President Kamala Harris was on The View, and she kind of repeated that line that she said on during the debate. Go watch some of these Trump rallies. Here, play this clip.
Solutions are at hand, but again, Donald Trump prefers to run on problems instead of fixing problems. He's not solution-oriented. And again, I will invite people, if you really need to know how he thinks, since he doesn't do these kinds of interviews, watch his rallies. He spends full time engaged in grievance about what has happened to him. He spends full time perpetuating lies and misinformation. He spends full time talking about fictional characters, name
calling, a lot of
name calling and demeaning people, belittling people. But what he does not talk about is you. He does not talk about what you need. He does not talk about what your parents need, what your children's need. That's not what he talks about. He doesn't talk about your child's needs. He talks about his needs. And I think, again, back to the point, in this election, people are ready for a new generation of leadership that's about fixing problems.
And here, Vice President Kamala Harris also discussing the importance of unity, saying it's time we got to put country over party. Play this clip.
Look, I just recently did an event with Liz Cheney, the former Congresswoman.
I know.
Her father, the former Vice President, Dick Cheney, has supported me.
Unbelievable.
There are over 200 former members of both Bush presidencies, John McCain, Mitt Romney, who have endorsed me.
Right.
Leading thinkers in the national security space are supporting me. And frankly, one of the things that I'm very proud of that we have done collectively is we really are building a coalition around some very fundamental issues, including that we love our country and that we have to put country before party. We have to agree about the sanctity of the oath we take to defend the Constitution of the United States, to support the Constitution of the United States. And I do believe the closer we get to the election, the more that people reflect on what's at stake. Including the fact that the former president tried to undo the will of the people in a free and fair election on January 6th, led what was a violent attack on the United States Capitol. 140 uniformed law enforcement officers were attacked. Some died. I have seen from people who are former Trump supporters who are supporting me, that was a bridge too far. And back to the point about even the hurricanes that are the one that's about to hit Florida, what has already hit, I think people are exhausted. And they're exhausted with the lies, they're exhausted with the selfishness, they're exhausted with the attempt to divide us as Americans, and they're ready to turn the page and chart a new way forward. And I feel very optimistic about that.
And I think that's what we're seeing in this data as well. You know, when we're looking at the New York Times data that I told you about earlier, she's gaining a lot of support amongst Republicans. And it's that same support that we were talking about during the primaries, right? Remember, Donald Trump would underperform states like Michigan in the primaries by like 15 to 20 points. Same thing with Pennsylvania. Mostly all of the other states, Donald Trump would underperform, and there would be like a 20% protest vote, people voting for Nikki Haley. Remember our coverage on that? I think that's important to reflect on as well. Also, Vice President Kamala Harris was on the Howard Stern show this morning, and Howard Stern said, look, I'm voting for you, and I want my listeners to be clear why I'm voting for you. And Howard Stern garners about 10 million listeners, 73% of them being male, 27% female, 85% white. So remember those numbers I said. That's why she went on that show. That's why she was on the other podcast as well, Call Her Daddy. And a new poll just coming out as I'm recording this as well, which is a GOP commission poll, by the way. This is from Liberty for PA and at Bullfinch Group, commissioned by a local GOP group in Pennsylvania, and has Vice President Kamala Harris up 4, Senator Casey up 10, and Democrats up 3 generically, improving their positions as well. So that's what's up today. We'll keep you posted as we learn more. Hit subscribe and help us get to 4 million subscribers together. Thanks for watching.
Real quick, Meta just changed their algorithm to suppress political content. Please follow our Instagram at MeidasTouch right now as we head towards 400,000 followers so you don't miss a beat.